Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back to another episode of Friends of the Squared Circle, where I'm your host, Crander Q, a.k.a. my real name. Now, remember, we've got merch now. We got hats. Yes, we've got hats. Oh, and I am excited because, yes, I have got shirts. And like I said on the previous episode, I'm like a Russian doll. I'm so full of myself. As well as check out our sponsors, Darren Corbin, on all social medias, as well as Patreon, starting out at $1. And our other sponsors there, Superior Creations on Facebook, facebook.com/Superior Creations MN for all your custom tumbler needs. These things are beautiful. I do them for giveaways, and we just might have to do one. And we have our guest today, Jace. How you doing today, Jace?
Yeah, not too bad. How you doing, my man?
Oh, another great day. Beautiful flannel, great beard day. I can't complain.
It's looking pretty, man.
Thank you. One day you'll get there, I hope.
I tried, but I thought I looked hideous.
Yeah.
So I just decided. But I mean, I love the tint too. The light's hitting it perfect.
It definitely hides a couple chins that I got under there. So people don't know that I'm truly fat. I use the close.
That's what I try with this thing.
Yeah, so it's definitely to hide a few things that I'm not worth showing. That's why I wear baggy clothes. So it's like I'm losing weight.
Yeah.
So, well, again, we talked a bunch off camera. We're going to get into it here, but thank you for coming on. I know I've had your brother on in a previous episode. How'd that make you feel?
I mean, I watched it. It is what it is. I figured you probably, I don't know if you noticed, there wasn't much of a pop from many of the fans watching or anything like that. So if you wanted to get a good pop and some good more ratings and get a little bit of some more overness, you brought me on for a reason. So
that's right. That's right.
Show up, put him in his place, and it is what it is. Sorry to say.
All righty. So let's just jump right into it. Let's get into your earliest memories of wrestling. You want to let us know how that all got started for you?
Oh, man. Well, this kind of does correlate back a little bit with my brothers when you had him on. Very young, I would say about kindergarten at least, if not a little bit before. But I specifically remember we'd always just go down to the local video rental store and be renting videos. And the first time had to have been from my dad, because he was into wrestling a little bit there, stuff like that too. So we'd rent videos, be watching that. But I specifically remember the WrestleMania in '92. I don't remember what number it was specifically, but I just remember it was Sid Justice on the cover, Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair against Randy Savage. Okay. So that's like my first vivid memory in like '92. But I remember watching like Ric Flair in the Rumble that year too. That's when he came in at like 3. And then just ended up winning it. Like it was like unheard of back then, just crazy. I remember all that stuff. And, from that point, then you revert back to kind of watching back to you got the Warrior versus Hogan. And then carries on to like back when Saturday morning, I can't remember the name of the dang show, but WWF had a Saturday morning one. And then I remember, And then I remember when when Raw first started out and stuff like that, and it was just awesome to be able to see all that stuff. It was something that I loved the atmosphere. I loved watching the stories, the moves, everything. It was just something got to enjoy with my brother and dad and stuff like that too. So over time, obviously, it was more my brother and I. We just sunk into it, man. Just sunk into it, and
now we'll back up before we go too fast. Did your dad have any favorites? Did he kind of influence any of your favorites, or did you just have some that you preferred?
Back when we first started, I don't remember him having any specific favorites, but back when Austin came on and he started on the whole Austin, I remember my dad loved watching Steve Austin's. You get the camo, the beer drinking, the hats. All that stuff, and just the guy flipping a bird to the boss. So it was a unique time right there, and not many people didn't like Austin at the time. But yeah, my dad would maybe he's in the kitchen doing something, he'd come back in if Austin was, you hear the glass shatter and someone right back in, stuff like that. So
definitely iconic. Yes.
Yeah.
So who were some of your early favorites there?
Okay, well, I specifically remember back like all time. Okay, I'll start from back there. Like if I go all time, My all-time would be Jeff Hardy.
Okay.
Just the multicolored hair, you got the arm sleeves. It was just a whole new awesome freaking look when he came out. But that's my all-time. But when I got into wrestling, at that time I was huge with the Rockers, Marty Jannetty,
Okay.
Shawn Michaels. Oh my God, to this day my heart still just breaks when he just gave him some sweet chin music to the face and just put him through the glass. One of the best turns ever. I still watch it today on
Yeah.
YouTube. Just get chills. But the Rockers. But back then, my favorite at that time before Jeff Hardy took off, Bret Hart, man.
Okay. Bret Hart then. All right.
Just loved the whole look and feel, his moves, the sharpshooter. Loved that. I apologize if you hear my roommates yelling. It's like my
Oh, I thought that was behind me. You're good. I don't care.
Oh, it's me. Bret Hart, and then of course when Steve Austin came on, not many people disliked him at all, but it'd be Bret Hart for sure. Bret Hart and Jeff Hardy would be my all time so far. And
Okay.
if you want me to talk currently too, like who's my
just anything you want to spill out, and then we'll just go back about other stuff. So
I was
taper off and come back. So
okay, right on. Yeah, no, I mean currently, I'm a big Kevin Owens guy. Love what he does. Love what he does with the mic. He's just got charisma. He's just awesome, man. He's kind of with Sami Zayn right now. There's not much with Sami Zayn. Whatever he does kind of works. It just works. Yep. And it doesn't matter if it's with Knoxville or he's with the Bloodline right now. It's just entertaining.
Yep.
Even though I'm not going to buy a Sami Zayn shirt, but I'd buy Kevin Owens, Bray Wyatt. The guy that just no spoiler warning.
Oh, that's will come out a week or two later. So
okay, so he just came back last night. I mean, it was awesome. I was so excited for it. I was really sad when he left, but I understood, the situation given how creative was back in that time and stuff like that. Let's see, a big Finn Balor guy. Adam Cole. In fact, I've gotten into watching his gaming streams online.
Okay.
And I love him. I love him even more. He's just a warm-hearted guy. Just great. Just interacting. There's one time he has responded to one of my live stream chats and was like, "Oh," like a little kid just getting some. And then Malachi Black, Tommy End, Aleister Black. Really enjoyed him back within the NXT days.
Yeah,
I'm one of those people. Just so much stuff got wrecked with. They got brought to the main roster by Vinnie Mac, but Neville, love Neville. Darby Allin, I'm into right now as well. And then anyone that I've grown to watch through the indies, the local indies, if they can get to you got Top Flight, stuff like that. So those are the people I would buy shirts. I would buy their shirts.
Gotcha. Now, before we go too far, KO, love him to death. I just think he's a modern day, compared to Austin, but I feel like he has a different swagger with him. I definitely love KO ever since he came to NXT, him and Sami Zayn having that feud. And then when he came out and just toe-to-toe with Cena, boom, I was just hooked. And then he just, pop-up powerbombed him, and I'm like, made a statement. Like, it's just that simple to make a statement. And then, him to beat Cena that first match, I thought was amazing, because then it's not that super Cena.
Yeah.
Everybody, I hate on Cena's character, not the man, but I just felt like that was perfect for him.
Yeah.
That if he would have just stayed with that momentum and kept going, again, you talked about it, the BK, booking strategy there, but
yeah. No, I mean, and I'm glad they're kind of wheeling back to that a little bit more and stuff like that. It's good.
A little bit more gritty TV, or is aggressive, or not necessarily attitude era, because I feel like that was more just boobs and rah rah rah. Where this just feels more reality based, kind of like the NWO. Being more real in character versus just
and just letting these entertainers creatively entertain, not have to go specifically by a script that may be appealing to one person, but thousands other may not like.
Yeah.
So
and it definitely felt like they went to the well recycling storylines because it had worked so many times, but you can only paint a car the same color a bunch of times. That's a horrible analogy, but it's just like, where's the excitement?
Yeah.
But back to that childhood, because we don't want to go off too far and speed through your life here. Now, you mentioned VHS. I always love bringing it up. Kids at home, that was something we used to watch versus DVD streaming services. Besides the VHSs, though, was there anything else that you got your content from, being magazines? The internet for us was just starting. God, I feel old saying that, because I remember in 8th grade doing typing class and learning email and stuff. But was it magazines? Besides VHS, video games, anything that really got you more wrestling content?
Yep. So, I mean, we had Super Nintendo. So I think on that you had Royal Rumble was one of the first ones I remember.
Yep.
You get the special move trigger. You got to hit the button and the power meter builds up, stuff like that. Yep. So played the crap out of that. In fact, that was one of the first video games ever when we got our first Super Nintendo system. That was one of the games. And then I remember when Raw's War came out, Super Nintendo 2, played the crap out of that as well. Then I didn't really have much on the in-betweens of Sega or anything like that. I didn't do any of that stuff, or No Mercy. I know that was a big one people loved. But the SmackDown, when that came out for PlayStation.
Okay, yep.
That one, loved that. And then, now they went to the WWEs. I think you get older, you have kids. I'm lucky if I get to play a dang video game within a month or two. But those, I remember going to the library downtown, reading WWF the magazine back when that came out back in the day. They used to have it there, and I would go down there and just read those pages and stuff like that. But I would say the one aspect that really got me into more than just the visual watching stuff like that, there is a simulation PC game out there called Total Extreme Warfare. And back in when it first started, it was called Extreme Warfare Revenge. Actually, even before that, it was called Extreme Warfare Deluxe. But basically, it's a text-based simulation game. There, I mean, you can get mods and stuff there. You can get real life graphics and people and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But you're the booker. You're the owner of the promotion. You book matches. You get to pick who wins the matches, who your champions are going to be. The game has evolved over the years to where you literally set up storylines. You book segment by segment. There's a whole bunch of data and algorithms that dictate how over people get in certain areas of the country or world. I mean, it's in depth, and it's such a fun game. I used a couple of years ago, I did that and started a storyline where WCW was bought by Elon Musk, and he started reinventing the wheel with them, and could purchase a bunch of contracts from AEW and WWE and stuff like that, and actually did a whole mini website with shows and stuff like that. And eventually time caught up with me, and I didn't have enough time to finish. But that game, it just opened the world to the exploring the indies and getting to know the indie wrestlers and stuff like that. So I credit the wider knowledge and interest pro wrestling to that game, just getting to know all the promotions and the wrestlers out there and stuff like that. And then now you get to see them. I remember CM Punk before he got to WWE. Mm-hmm. A lot of people didn't. The hardcores knew what Ring of Honor and stuff like that. But I knew who he was. Like Cameron Grimes, I remember him as Trevor Lee first. Stuff like that. So there's the guys and stuff like that, and then you see him finally reach the moment in time where they can sign with WWE or not AEW now and stuff like that. It's really awesome to see, and that's not my plug for the game, but it's really interesting and stuff like that. So a lot of different variety of stuff. I just grew up loving wrestling.
Yeah, where for me, like I mentioned on previous, it's when we got to middle school, I kind of fell out of it because I got more into sports, which we played baseball together, we played football together, So I was more into that aspect, I think, because that's where I thought I was maturing, which we know I'm not mature, but I felt like I was leaning more towards that because, hearing about how wrestling was the F word and all that, I just kind of grew out of it and got in more to sports where I just deep dived into it. Like, I mean, the Maddens, the NCAAs, which I know you love, because I love that community of it too, making teams like Brian and I would make the whole football roster on NCAA 2002. And, of course, I had to make myself a starter, but,
Yeah, I got to.
Yeah. And to this day, like, I'll still make, like me, Brian, and Joe, because, I'm bored and I'll find some other weird way to do it. Like, I'll make us all quarterbacks or, I make us.
You put Schaefer at like an overall 52.
We should. No, it only lets me go to 83 on the one NFL Fever. That's still my favorite. Okay. That's still my favorite of all time. Favorite video game.
Joey probably wants to punch a screen right now watching this.
Yeah. So, we'll give a nice little shout out. But yeah, so I mean that's when I got more into those type of video games and kind of lost my fandom with wrestling. But now I'm more an indie guy than I am pro because I like to be close to the action, talk shit, have a little fun with the guys, and do that. But what were some of your
completely different atmosphere too?
Yeah. What were some of your first wrestling experiences where you got to see it live there?
I'm going to be honest. Like, as hardcore as I was growing up and as a kid, and I was way more hardcore into wrestling back then than I would admittedly say I am in now. I love it as much, but I don't get the time to watch it as much. But I still follow the crap out of it. But honestly, my first show I did not go to until I might have been a year out of high school, to be honest with you. And I think it was a SmackDown Live in the Twin Cities, and I think they did an ECW live taping as well. So that was my first experience with that. And I felt bad because I remember that one. Like, my brother wasn't even able to go to that one, so I didn't even I went with a couple friends and stuff like that. But besides that, since then I've gone to a couple Raws, couple NXTs, been to one pay-per-view when TLC was in the Twin Cities a handful of years back, stuff like that. Okay. But other than that, I'll go to the local indie shows and stuff like that. But that's there is, like I was saying before, there is a distinctive difference, and the indie shows are, I would say, they're a lot more fun. Besides seeing like these cool stars you see on TV, like you get to see with your actual eyes.
Yep.
The indie shows are it's a total different ball game. There's a lot more interaction. You get to see, hear just everything, and then to be able to placate with the talent and help to create enhance the atmosphere for them as well. It's fun. It's fun. So yeah, I can definitely see where one like yourself, as I know how hardcore you are with the indie circuit, would prefer that over the high time, big quality stuff. So,
and a lot of my stuff too with when it comes to indies, it's hence the name Friend of the Squared Circle. Here is that I've built so many relationships on my little adventures going to shows. I mean, I can name off 15, 16 people plus, that I have met just through wrestling. Like, I was just at my buddy Robert's wedding, who I actually met through wrestling. And,
nice.
Now that I have a fiance, Randy, that's a shot. It's a new thing on the podcast here. But it's just being a part of people's lives and like seeing them succeed. And it's all because we have one common interest in wrestling. Like, obviously our story, we go way back for sports and growing up in the same area. My dad's business was right in front of your guys' house and all that stuff. But like some of the friends that I've met on, the wrestling shows are like just people I talk to almost every day, because A, it's about wrestling, and B, it's about life. And today's status was about seeing other people succeed in their goals. And it's just great to see them hit that milestone of 500 likes. It's not a lot to everybody else, but to us, it's like we've hit another hurdle, and I'm excited to almost reach over 200, So feel free to like and subscribe to this podcast at Facebook, at Twitter, whatever. We'll put links in the description. But it's, for me, it's to continue my wrestling community build more, because eventually I would like to do more things with wrestling. like you've heard me say putting on show or something like that, but this is just my way to put my foot in to the wrestling business.
And don't forget, man, anyone who's gotten to the highest level has had to start out somewhere like this.
Yep.
So
every biography I've read is people tell them, like, why are you wasting your time with that? Well, I'm wasting my time because it's going to lead to something bigger and better. So
yeah, well, that's not a waste of time either because you enjoy it,
Yeah. So, but now as you're getting more into your, like you said, the middle school and high school days, like I asked your brother, did he ever lose his fandom, or did you kind of, always have that strong inkling, but it was more hidden in that time? Because for me, it was kind of out the door, and I know you kind of touched on that you still loved it, but how strong was it?
Yeah, well, I mean, I remember in middle school, I was, at that time, I was the go-to person for basically all thing resources wrestling for my friends. Okay. And basically once high school, I would say, I mean, I love her to death, but you start dating someone, and then, you got sports on top of that. So you got sports almost basically year round. You start dating, get in the dating scene, and then jobs. You got to start working jobs like that. So that's both the time, I would say early high school. My passion and love for wrestling never ended. I just didn't have time for it. So I would have to try to find time to follow up on results online and stuff like that. Thank gosh for internet by that time. Otherwise, I would have completely missed out. But I within the last probably year and a half, I actually tried to go back to starting and watching pay-per-views in WWE from 2002 on in sequential order, because there's a gap there where I've missed stuff. Like there's a lot of John Cena's career I missed. Like who's someone that's like I couldn't, like Wade Barrett.
Yeah.
I don't know if I seen any of his career. I knew who the heck he was, but I don't think I seen any of his career in WWE or at the time, stuff like that. So I want to fill that gap so I can, see the visuals and stuff more of that stuff. But eventually when things started, calming down and stuff like that, I could watch a little bit more here and there, and then definitely followed a lot more online. So, and then thank goodness for the growth of social feeds. Like my social feeds packed full of stuff now. So it's like I don't feel like I'm missing out on much and stuff like that. But no, I still love it, man. It's in just being able to see it anymore. Like when I get to watch it, like last night, I just watched Extreme Rules and stuff like that. There is a sense of comfort and nostalgia for me, because it's like this. I grew up loving this. This reminds me of my childhood. I don't care what people think, or I mean, I've never cared what people think or judge about it. But it's like I like it, and I couldn't give two craps about what you think about wrestling. I don't look at it as two individuals in swimsuits or whatever wrestling. So there's a story, there's an art to this. And if you want to look at it with blinders on and not like see it for what it is, like everyone knows it's, every majority of the fans, unless you're a damn, a kid who is, still learning the process of within their brain of what's going on in front of them, what's fake or not. But everyone knows it's fake, it's scripted, but it doesn't mean it's not entertaining. They still watch their TV shows. You know what? It's fake. It's not real, but you still watch.
There ain't no dragons out there, flying around. There isn't no hobbits running around.
They still watch it. They still watch it. Why? Because it's entertaining. You're into that. You like it. That will never change for me. It will never change. I love wrestling, man, and I love being able to talk about. I've been excited since you approached me about this. I've been so excited about it and stuff like that, and I love watching the episodes. And I just love listening. The big podcast I liked was the ENC podcast. Loved that podcast, and then when they went back into the field of active wrestling, but love that podcast, and just being able to hear the behind the scenes stuff. I love all that stuff, and it's just the whole aspect, man. The whole aspect of it all.
And I know I'm going to take a cheap pop at you here. You were too busy being homecoming king, and
no, I was on court. I was only on court.
Oh, you were on court too? Okay, I thought you won, because not selfless brag here, because I want the world to know how cool I was back then. Prom court nominee, and then someone's like, "Well, they always need the the one person that's just a lucky vote. And I was like, thanks, guys.
No.
Had they put, my nickname on there in high school, I probably would have got more votes. But
Yeah, no doubt.
I always like telling people that's a fun fact that people don't know about me. But, I don't live in think that I'm that great. But, yeah, definitely, you mentioned E&C podcast. Like, I wasn't a huge WWF stance growing up with WCW, but that made me love them more because they would actually kind of critique what was going on in the business at that time. And it was like, well, yeah, they're right, or like they're giving the guys advice on the show too. And I thought that was really great, and I'm glad to see them back, but I'm partially like, it's like, it's give and take for me, but it's good to see them healthy. That's for sure.
Some of that I blame on, I won't name names anymore, but I blame on someone who's no longer there anymore for how stuff has kind of gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but, and it's unfortunate because I think Edge is starting to kind of look like he's wearing down, stuff like that. But when he returned, oh my gosh, that was goosebumps, man. Goosebumps.
Because I got into it again back in 2008 because it took me a long time to get there. And like he was just kind of slowing down in the main event scene. And then I think it was 2011. I think the video package said last night that he ultimately retired. So I got 3 more years with him being kind of at the top and, watching him. And I was like, all right, I got new respect for him, because before I just didn't really see it when I was a kid because I thought other people, but, it's good that he's back. Same time, it's just like, we complain about the old people coming back and stealing the new guy's spotlight. But then I get into
I think he's done a good job working with the younger talent to get it over where in comparison to some others, it's not like that.
And that's where I always get in my think like I know something about wrestling is that, I feel like the wrestling fans are so quick to complain about said person doesn't get an opportunity. He's getting buried. I'm sick of seeing hypothetically Edge as champion. Well, what you're not seeing is that Edge is working a guy in a main event, making him look like $1,000, but he's not ready to be that guy. He's getting the experience with this veteran who's going to put more eyes on this younger guy. Like they're not seeing that. They're just seeing the gold around the waist. Yeah. And you and I feel like, I don't know, some smart marks or whatever, but we see a bigger picture. And I always go back to this. And again, I don't think a lot of people think of this. Bianca and Becky. Becky squashed Bianca in 27 seconds or whatever it was. Okay. Everybody on the internet lost their damn mind. It's this champion's reign didn't mean nothing. They squashed it in 27 seconds. Fast forward to SummerSlam this year. What did we see before that match? The video packages, the story, the reason why they're here again. And then they put on a banger of a match. But had they not had that 27-second match, we wouldn't have a story for this year. And it's just like you have to have stuff like that so that you can sell the next pay-per-views.
Yes.
And that's what I hate. I don't comment on the stuff.
You're always going to have have the fans. You're going to have fans like, and they're not wrong. It's different style fan, different understanding of the business compared to just the entertainment. I shouldn't say that I'm arrogantly because there's people that are actually work in the business. I have never worked in the business, but just from the own research and understanding, and I'm a I've ran promotions in Total Extreme Warfare, guys. So I know what I'm doing. I'm a booker. Just joking. I'm joking. But no, there's some times where I think the squashes, when it comes to that talent that could go where I think backfires. Like for the one example that I always go to is the Braun Strowman when he was hotter than hot and went against Lesnar, and they didn't have him beat Lesnar. And basically from that point on, from my point of view, this is my own opinion, all that momentum was gone from Strowman, and I don't think it's never even touched it close at all. So I think there's times where that goes back to kind of Lesnar with his kind of aspect like that. But it was a failed opportunity to where helping out, pushing to the next level of these younger talent and stuff like that that have way more years ahead of them. But
yeah, it reminds me too of like when The Rock and the Wyatt family came out, and he just took them all down. It's like, I get it, he's a blah 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 champion, but sometimes like you have this, again, horrible booking with the Wyatt family. There, it's like you have this faction that's on fire, and then you have your megastar just crush it. Like I see it both ways, but that one, you never talk about it. You never talk about Brock stealing Braun's momentum. You don't talk about The Rock stealing the Wyatts, because it just kind of fizzled. But I always see it like that. I'm like, I want to see where this is going to go to see the payoff.
Yeah.
And another thing is too is like they always bring up on the pay-per-view, like Sasha Banks has won 7. I know this is an exaggerated number, 7 in a Hell in a Cell matches. Like, okay, that's why they have her keep winning these, even though the belt's switching, so that they can have that accolade when they do, Hell in a Cell 8, so that they can go call back to it. And I feel like a lot of people miss that. It's just they want to see everyone be champion. And I brought this up on 13 Cards, Something to Change. You can find them on Facebook as well. Join the Patreon at $1. I'm getting really good at these plugs. Whereas just because you and I played high school football doesn't mean we get a state championship. We play college football doesn't mean we're going to win the NCAA championship.
Yeah.
We'll get like, say, the what's the Badger Bowl that they get from Minnesota, the Axe or whatever.
The Axe.
Yeah, we won the Axe doesn't mean we deserve to be playing in the NCAA championship game. And same with pro wrestling. Just because you are the NXT champion doesn't mean as soon as you get on the main roster that you are the next champion. Like, you have to start at the bottom, just like I'm starting at the bottom with this podcast. And eventually, if I'm in a studio, well, I was down at the bottom and I worked my ass off to get there. Like, I'm not just getting given a studio because I've made, 13, 14 podcast episodes. Like, you have to work to get where you want. And a lot of people just want to see it now. And it's just not the case.
Yeah. And, there's with these guys, just the example of NXT, because I know there are a lot of people get with the NXT talent getting called up and stuff like that. There's a percentage of people that watch Raw. And let's face it, there is a smaller percentage out of that percentage that watch NXT alongside of all that stuff. Mm-hmm. So just because they pop up, not everybody knows who those guys are or guys or girls are at that time. So you do have to do it exactly like you said, like build it up a little bit. You can't just let them come in and steal the belt and then someone's going to be like, well, who the hell is this?
Yeah. And then this is for me taken away from Tyrus. I don't know if you remember Funkasaurus.
I remember Tyrus.
Okay. So now that I use this as an example is that, they bring him up to the main roster and we've got Kane, we've got Big Show, we've got Khali, and gosh knows, Taker, Batista. There's like 5 or 6 already big guys up there doing big, scary.
Mark Henry too.
Mark Henry, these guys that are already doing something like that. And yes, they threw him a shit dancing thing, but let me see you get it over. Let me see you connect with the crowd, because you can always evolve into the next thing. And that's kind of the case with Madcap Moss. He was just the joke guy. I thought it was funny because I tell horrible jokes.
Dude, I couldn't stand him in NXT. I couldn't stand him in NXT.
But now he's getting more serious. He's, he's becoming more of a threat, or was. I haven't really seen too much of him lately. I think he got injured again. But it's just like you have to let people evolve. Eventually it'll be their time. But, if you're a true fan, you got to stick with them through the chicken shit till you get to chicken salad.
Yeah.
I love Otis to death. He's doing a lot of comedy and stuff. He lost his money in the briefcase, but I'm excited to see, how he keeps going up.
You look at one of the hottest people right now, Roman Reigns. How many people hated him for so long? And a lot of people still do, but a lot of those people that hated him love him now because what he's doing is working so good. It's just that's one of the good moves that Vinnie Mac did, and it's still playing out. But everyone, you got to try kind of wait until they find their niche within there, and then let them work it.
Yep. And same with like when they get to the mountaintop too. Like everybody was pissed with Seth Rollins at the top because he had Joey, Mercury and I can see him in my head. I can't think of his name. Anyway, the other guy with him, like they were the ones taking all the bumps, taking all the falls, causing the chaos, but yet they were still getting attention to him, kind of like with Jinder with the Singh brothers or Sheamus and the Battling Brutes. Like they have to attach to these stars in order so that you get more exposure to them.
Yeah,
now, obviously, I'm not a big fan of the Butch name, but he is with a prominent star, surefire Hall of Famer, who is going to elevate him to another level. And once he breaks away, if he fights Sheamus, you're going to say he just beat a 3-time champion. Yeah. And that elevates him. Like it's just getting to that point, But
that group's getting hotter and hotter.
Which is crazy is everybody thought it was just garbage. And
I was admittedly one of them. I was like, I don't like this. I don't, especially when he came up as Butch, and I'm like, I do not like this at all. It's growing big time. It's working, and credit to them for how they've worked in the ring and carried themselves.
I will agree with some of the name BS that has happened is kind of crap, garbage, which is the drawback of them coming in under a character and then they don't have the licensing for it. So I feel like if they are going to go to NXT, they need to get that squared away right away. That way, when they get to a main roster, they're not having to scramble to find something that they can market it with, like Gunther.
I think that was the biggest kickback that they got is that they got these guys were already in NXT, rebranded themselves, and then they acted like people didn't know who they were when they came up to the main roster, and that irritated some people.
Yeah. But I mean, there's so many things you can fix and so many things you can't change. It's a whole other ball game. But since we trailed off there, was there any? Let's get back to your wrestling here versus current stuff. Was there any wrestlers that you have met through the independent scene? Because you kind of talked about that, and I know your brother's involved with Showtime. Yeah. Is there any independent wrestlers that stand out to you right now? Who are your favorites? We're going to exclude Top Flight back there because they're technically signed now. So is there any indie guys out there that you just absolutely love watching?
Yeah. So, I mean, the biggest, besides of like the ones that I've met, I've met one, what I would call it like a famous, more popular, and that was Jeff Cobb.
Yep. Okay.
So I've met him before, got a picture and stuff with him. But I haven't met any like high level big names, but in regards to the indie guys that I'm really rooting for, hoping to see that they go somewhere. I love Brandon Gore.
Okay.
I loved watching him since Showtime over here when that started up. I just felt like he had the physique, the moves in the ring, just everything flowed great. And the look was there. And then who else? Riley Jackson, I think, plays a heck of a heel.
Yeah.
I've seen him one time since he cut his hair, and I liked him with the kind of like the boy toy, like how he looked before, and it just flowed and stuff like that. But his in-ring work is still great. And then I specifically remember Joey Avalon, one of the first shows I went to with Showtime too. And I remember watching that. I was like, this guy, I have no idea why he's not like in somewhere like at one of the, NXT somewhere like that. And that was the only time I one and done. I think I've seen him with that one. And to this date, I remember talking to him afterward. I said, dude, like that was awesome. Like it was almost flawless. Great look, great character. But those are the three that when I see them on a card, I get excited to go see. But there's also oh man, I'm gonna kick myself right now. Is it
Skits?
What is it? Skits. Boom. There you go. Yes, Skits. I really enjoy too. They're just even the character. He's good in the ring too. But just the character, love it. Yes. Just love it.
And I know horror is being done a lot. Crazy is being done a lot because of Bray Wyatt. But I will stand on this hill and say that Skits, man, I always say it. It's one of my new little catchphrases. I'm getting goosebumps. When he does that little talking stuff to himself, I just get a little weirded out. And it reminds me, not that it's probably in comparison, but like Golem and, Schmiegel when he's yelling at himself, going back and forth. I'm like, dude.
It's good.
Yeah. He definitely has a different style to it. And like I said, I will stand on that hill because that man, he is very great at his craft.
Yes.
I know. Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
With Joey Avalon, now with Sierra being on her tremendous upswing, through the Midwest, she's like hitting Iowa. She was the OVW champion there for a while, and I think she wrestled AEW a few times on the Dark and stuff. So and he's attached to her. Obviously they're in a relationship. Sorry, brother, spoilers. But those two are definitely making some waves in this circle here, and if she continues to make her way out to the other coast, I think we could see them signed in 1 to 2 years. No disrespect to Joey, my best friend. I call him that all the time at the wrestling shows. He gets mad at me. That one of those two would get signed, and I feel Sierra has more of an opportunity being, she's the young, fresh face, whereas he's got to work a little bit harder because women's wrestling needs more, where there's so many men. That's my only critique. I love them both to death. I think they're great. I know she travels around and does a lot of great things, and she's one that I say carries the RBF or whatever. But just a sweetheart. I have yet to get a picture with her or any autographs because I just seem to miss her every time at these shows. But yes, Joey Avalon is definitely one to keep an eye on as well. So
yeah, like I said, when I watched him, it was like the second or third Showtime show that happened over here, and it was just I felt like I was watching someone that was already in WWE and something stuff like that. And he really carried himself well. But that, and like I said, I don't. You're way more in depth with the indies and probably him and his career and stuff like that. I just don't know why.
Yeah,
I don't. It's like, has he been looked at yet?
And that's something I saw him first over in ACW 5-6 years ago now, and then he was tearing it up with Hornswoggle's promotion over there. Another guy out of ACW that was over there that I've seen around here a little bit more is Brock Hall. I think he's fabulous, and he just plays a dickhead so well. I don't know. He's just something about Brock Hall just makes me just like, dude, I just want to punch you in the face. Riley Jackson. I love all the Academy boys and girls. Clark, Riley, Brandon.
I love what. I wish
they're lower on my tier because obviously I'm a Darren Corbin guy through and through. And again, with these beautiful Tumblr Superior Creations, your WrestlePalooza champion. But there's so much coming out of Minnesota that is so great. There's going to be a whole new batch of them coming out as well. I look forward to seeing that. But you've named some pretty good names there for sure. So.
Yeah, and I highly suggest anyone listening, if you're in the area, go check these things out because like we've already said, it's a completely different ball game. Visually up front and an atmosphere going compared to a WWE event or AEW. So,
and wrestling is so hot right now. I say it all the time. There's probably 13 to 20 some promotions just between Minnesota and Wisconsin. That's where we're out of here. We're not going to. Well, it's your location. I'm in Superior. I don't care if people know, but it's definitely the best time to be a wrestling fan for sure. It's a great time to be a wrestler because there are so many opportunities for them. And I'm excited, I love going to everybody's table, saying hi, getting a selfie with them, trying to buy merch. I've gotten to the point where I'm not allowed to apparently buy merch because I see them every time, but you guys can buy mine. But it's just great knowing that wrestling is such at a boom because it's, again, like you had mentioned earlier, nostalgia. It's my childhood. I'm excited. You have roommates that you have to worry about right now. I've got the fiance, Randy, take a shot. So I'm missing a little bit of the independent scene, but obviously those things we mentioned just now are worth it. So.
And the greatest thing today's age, we got social media all over the place that you can go catch up. So if you miss something, you can go catch up on it.
Yeah, huge shout out to Facebook for every 3 posts that there's an ad, and it's usually Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, it's wrestling for me. I wish there was more Jurassic Park content, but I don't search that enough on social media. But yeah, wrestling is definitely booming. We're kind of coming to the end here, Jace. Definitely got to get you on for a part 2. Get you on with your brother. Have a fun little episode idea for that. Anything you want to plug?
I don't know if he can handle it.
What's that?
I just say I don't know if he can handle it, but whatever.
That's right. Yeah, it'll be the Jason Jarrett showdown. That'll be a good one.
Be Rockers turn 2.0.
Yep, perfect. As long as he doesn't go through a windshield, so I get flagged for community guidelines, you guys can have at it. Anything you want to plug? Anything you want to say? Anything you want to throw out there? And then I'll, as I like to call it, kick you out, and then I can have you hang in the lobby, and we can BS before we.
I mean, no, I don't have anything. I had the one thing, merch, the share.
Oh yeah. I've been forgetting the collectibles because we get the wrestling talk so much.
I've been waiting for this, so I was whether you got it or not, I was going to. But the only thing I really have besides like I have like a shirt, I don't spend a lot of free money all the time. I'll just admit that, whatever. But this right here is a Seth Rollins figure, still in the box. And my story with this one is. Believe it or not, I worked with an individual who went to high school with Colby Lopez, a.k.a.
okay.
And he even asked her out on a date senior year of high school, and she turned
that
him
again
down.
real quick. I got a phone call there. Go ahead and say that one more time.
I was just saying I worked with an individual who went to high school with him. Mm-hmm. Senior year, he asked her out. She turned him down.
Oh.
And a handful of years later, she's at a bar and she sees Colby on TV, and she's like, "What is Colby doing on TV?" So then I just started working at the place where she works at the time, and she's like, "Oh yeah, one of my old classmates used to, or he's a wrestler with WWE," and I was like, "Oh," and she's like, "Yes, his name's like Seth Rollins or something like that." I was like, "Are you kidding me?" So we actually got this as a gay gift to her. Nice. And she didn't want it. So I was like, I will take it.
Perfect. That's hilarious.
Yeah, that's my one little toy action.
Yeah, we got Brian because he doesn't like Kevin Owens, a Kevin Owens action figure for his birthday. And then we got him a signed autograph 8x10. And Brian has had the worst luck with any wrestler that he meets. He's been snubbed by Mick Foley because at the time the lady he was dating, I don't want to get into that, was getting all the attention because she was pretty or whatever. But anywho, then Brutus the Beefcake Barber yelled at him for grabbing a sign to get autographed that were free.
I think I heard that on the first. Was that the first episode you guys?
Yeah. And then he absolutely hates Greg the Hammer Valentine because the damn wrestler beats him all the time in the video game, which is funny because another story, but. Yeah, Brian has had the worst interaction with meeting wrestlers for sure. So, but again, appreciate your time coming on. We didn't get to those questions. That's fine. This is where you're the star, and I appreciate you coming on. I'll kick you out, as I say, plug this merchandise, and if you hang around in the lobby there, I'll chat with you a little bit here after this.
All
but
right.
Again, Jace, can't wait to get you and Jared on. That'll be a fun episode, and then we'll bug you later.
All right, right on. Thanks for having me, dude.
All right, thanks, sir. You just got to remember how to do this here. There we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is another episode of Friends of the Squared Circle, where I'm your host, Crander Q, a.k.a. my real name. Again, if you're interested in buying some of my beautiful merchandise with my face, we've got hats. DM me. I will pay the shipping. You just pay for the merchandise, as well as T-shirts coming soon. Yes, got to get it in there for the camera. I'm like a Russian doll, so full of myself. But please, check out Darren Corbin on all social medias. Give him a like and follow. Check out that Patreon where it starts at just $1, where you can get gifts, Q&As, and much more. And check out Superior Creations on Facebook. They make awesome custom tumblers as well. I've got Top Flight there. We love Top Flight here at Friends of the Squared Circle. And lastly, thank you for being a friend of the Squared Circle. And this is Crander Q out.